We're starting. Is everybody ready? Here we go. Everybody ready? Pastor McFadden, right? Okay. This is a common council meeting to be held Tuesday, March 21st, 2023 at 7 p.m. in the Common Council Chambers, City Hall, Room 100 of the Greenfield City Hall. The meeting is called to order. Would you please call the roll?
Alderperson Collins.
Present.
Alderperson Bailey.
Present.
Alderperson Kastner.
Present.
Alderperson Akers.
Present.
Alderperson Sarian.
Present.
Item B is opening prayer. We have Pastor McFadden here this evening. Yes. And his family.
All right. Thank you. Let us pray. Father, I come to you in the name of Jesus, and I thank you for city leaders that are here. I thank you for the city of Greenfield. God, I pray over decisions that are made. I pray for wisdom. And God, I pray for the peace and prosperity of the city to continue, and that you'd bless all the people that reside here. It's in Jesus' name that I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Item C is the Pledge of Allegiance. Would you please join me as we say the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, moving along, I'd entertain under item D, the approval of the March 7th, 2023 Common Council minutes. Motion for approval by Alderperson Kastner.
I'll second.
Second by Alderperson Collins. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Moving along to item E is the mayor's report. Taking items 1, 2, and 3 together, but they need to be voted on separately. These are the initial resolutions with regard to general obligation bonds for the city's annual borrowing, as well as a resolution authorizing the issuance and sale of those bonds. We have Mr. Murray here from Ellers.
Good evening.
Kind of briefly go.
Good evening. Joe Murray from Ellers, proud to be the city's financial advisor. I believe you all received a copy of our pre-sale
Yes.
report. I think you actually might even have a hard copy in front of you this evening. As the mayor noted, this is the beginning of the process to finance your 2023 capital improvement plan. As part of that, you do have the 3 resolutions. The initial resolutions set a maximum amount by purpose, which is required by statute. I'll talk about what those projects are in just a second. And then the authorizing the sale designates, basically tells us to work on your behalf to do the sale, but it also includes parameters to conduct the sale. I believe the last issue we did was a parameter sale as well. Typically, we schedule the bond sales on your meeting nights, but we're trying to schedule it for the early part of May, and that is when the Fed is going to be coming back and making decisions. Expectations that they'll be raising rates yet again. It's not a good time to be in the market. Everybody's trying to keep their powder dry, and so there's not a lot of interest. So we have started to not conduct sales whenever the Fed is meeting during the week. So that's why we're looking to do this as a parameter sale this time again. And I'll talk about those parameters here in just a second. The initial resolutions you have total $4.1 million. We rounded those up for the initial resolutions because those are not to exceed amounts. So we added in extra movement by having the initial resolutions be more at the $4.1 million. That gives you some more flexibility also. If one of the projects were to come in under, you could move between the 2 different purposes. The plan is to actually issue $3,775,000 of general obligation bonds. That would finance $3,614,000 of street improvements and $60,000 for the Department of Public Works HVAC controls. The bonds will be general obligations, and they will count against your general obligation debt limit. You can issue up to 5% of your equalized value and general obligation debt. Following the sale of the bonds, you will have roughly $90 million of general obligation debt outstanding, which is 45% of your limit, and you'll have a remaining capacity of about $112 million. So you still have capacity for future projects moving forward. The bonds are structured as 15-year bonds. A bond is anything longer than a 10-year term, and we're structuring these as 15 years. And you could go out as far as 20. We shortened it up because, again, the volatility in the market is afraid of going out long. We think that by going a little bit shorter this year with your bonds, we'll probably get better rates than going out the full 20-year term. Again, it's just the volatility in the market going forward. The city's last bond issue received a AA2 bond rating from Moody's. That is the third highest rating available, so it's a very good rating. The higher the rating, the better the interest rates you receive. We will plan on going back to Moody's to get this issue rated as well, and I would expect that the city will be able to maintain its AA2 rating as well for this issue. The structure of the bonds do provide for a modest tax increase for your debt service levy in 2024. The projection is that it will increase by 4 cents next year, going from $1.51 per $1,000 of equalized value to $1.55 per $1,000 of equalized value, so it's a very minor increase. It also is structured to provide for your debt service tax levy to be decreasing as we go out into the future to provide for some flexibility. To further provide for flexibility, it has 25-cent decreases in your debt service tax levy in 2027 through 2029, and then 15-cent decreases in years 2035 to 2037. So this will give the city a lot of flexibility, especially if you have some larger projects that need to be funded. I'm not aware of anything that the city, major projects, multi-million dollar projects, since you built the new fire station and the police station, village or city hall is in good shape. I don't anticipate you have anything, but you do have the flexibility the way that this is structured. As I said, interest rates, market has been volatile, rates have been rising, trending in the upward direction pretty much since the end of last year. We have seen some decreases recently. Actually saw a major decrease just last week. The rates dropped by almost 40 cents. 40 basis points, I should say. Why? I don't know. I personally think it was the fear of the banks, and I think people were wanting to get the money out of the banks and put it into something that's a little safer. Governments, municipal investments, as well as treasuries and federal government investments do provide the most security. So I think that's pretty much what drove the rates to drop so much last week. And yet they could go up by 40 basis points in a week or two. So we tried to be conservative in the rates that we gave you, but we are projecting that the true interest cost on the 2023 bonds should come in at 4.08%. Higher than a lot of I'm sure you remember, and the rates that you've received recently. We've seen a lot of twos, but 4% money is still pretty cheap money overall. It's just not as good as it was for the last couple of years. The third resolution that you have authorizing the sale does include the parameters which would authorize the finance director or the mayor to accept the bids, provided that the bids meet the parameters. Those parameters say that the maximum issue size cannot exceed $4.1 million. That's the amount in your initial resolutions. A maximum bid of 108%, a minimum bid of 98.75%, a maximum true interest cost of 5.5%. That again is padded to provide if rates do go up. That was the state trust fund loan rate last week when I wrote this report, and it also allows for the movement of maturities in any of the years up to $100,000. As part of doing a new issue, we also look at your existing debt to see if there's any refunding opportunities. I did 2 months ago, I believe it was, thought we had one, provided it to the city. but rates have moved up, and refunding it now just would not provide any savings to the city if it were to be included as part of this issue. We, Ellers, through Ellers Investment Partners, will also be working with the city for development of a investment program to try to maximize your earnings on those debt proceeds while you have them. We did provide for some interest earnings as part of the sizing. I think the rates will be coming in even better, and that will maximize even more project funds by doing the investments. The plan is to pull the official statement and everything together, do the credit rating, excuse me, and do the sale on April 26th. That's the week before the Fed meets, so hopefully we'll be having good timing, and the city would be receiving its funds on or about May 18th. Plenty in time so that by the time you start seeing project bills coming in, you'll have the funds on hand. So
Is there a way to do it quicker? To go out quicker than that or not?
we're really moving pretty quick, Mayor, to do a sale basically in a month. We still need to get all the information from the city to pull the official statement, get the rating call scheduled. That's typically 2 weeks ahead of the sale date. So doing a sale in essentially a month is fast-tracked.
Okay.
And I'd be,
Quick question, too. Just a little question here about Moody's. How often, when are the ratings published?
the rating will be published typically it's the Friday before the sale.
Okay, all right.
And the 26th is a Thursday, I believe. So
Okay.
the rating will be released the Friday or the Monday before. We want to get it in the underwriter's hands at least a few days. The underwriters will be doing their due diligence on the city once we publish that put it on the calendar and they know it's going to be out there. They'll start doing their own due diligence, but we will get the rating usually 2, 3, 4 days in advance.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
You said we're the third highest rating?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's
It'd be
essentially
almost
as
in
high as
play.
we can go.
Yeah.
That's where I was going. I mean, the size of the city, the parameters of the city, we're as high as you can go.
Generally.
Generally, yes.
Yeah,
You have
It's a
very
good
strong.
rating.
It is a good rating. You have very strong
Good rating.
financials. You have good property values. The city is fairly diverse. It would be better if you had some more industrial. That's something that the rating agencies will look at, is how diverse is the tax base. But I would say your AA2 is probably where you're kind of pigeonholed, if you will. If you were to continue to build up your fund balance, that would be a positive. Diversify the tax base a little bit further, improve your income values. I mean, you have good values as far as the wealth indices for the city, but if you could improve those, that would have a chance to see an upgrade. But I do think you're pretty much a AA2 in standing.
okay, now I have a question. God, I'm sorry. You said build up our incomes? What incomes? I'm sorry.
If you could build up your fund balance, and if you could
Okay, all right,
you had wealthier residents.
all right, that
taxpayers.
makes sense. Thank you.
So
It's
typically,
puzzling, though.
the ones that are above us are places like Brookfield, Appleton. Can't remember. There's not a bunch of them in the state. There's,
South Shore is?
Wauwatosa has a huge
Yeah.
tax base.
I don't know Wauwatosa's rating off the top of my head.
But Appleton and Brookfield, I think, are two biggies.
River Hills is an example. Is
That's
probably
what I
one
was
of-
trying to think of. They
One
have
of the
a big-
richest
Yeah.
communities in the state. They're a AA3.
Right,
And I've had to stand in front of their village president many times and explain, he thinks they should be AAA, but it's all residential. Their income levels
true,
are
yeah.
extremely high. The equalized value per capita is extremely high, but it's all residential. So if they could diversify, they might have a chance of being upgraded. They're also very small for the size of the community. and their fund balance is about 25%, but of their budget, but that's only $1 million. And the rating, 25% is a good target to have, but when you have $1 million, if you have a tornado come through with a
Right.
village, $1 million doesn't go very far. I don't know what the city's fund balance is off the top of my head, but it's more than $1 million.
25 to 28%
Yeah.
of whatever,
Yeah.
which is five,
What rating is Riverville?
6.5, 6.7?
Ours are
something
one
like
above.
that. Million? How much is it? 9 million?
Okay.
But
So
some of it's designated and some's not designated, right? Undesignated, I think, is 6.7, and 3 million is designated.
Okay.
So our tax base is pretty well diverse. We're worth
Good.
about $4 billion. 2/3 of our city is residential, 1/3 is commercial. And the commercial includes things like the Aurora Building and those kinds of things.
And Walmart?
Of our residential, it's not all, there's some challenges sometimes in some communities that just have single-family homes. Ours is diversified there as well. 42% of our residential tax base, plus or minus, is multifamily, which includes condominiums, apartments, those kinds of things. So we have a pretty diverse tax base. The thing that we need to do, which is challenging for us compared to New Berlin, Oak Creek, or Franklin, is that we only have 11 square miles. So every square inch that we have in the city, we have to try to maximize the value. Right? So when you see 84 South and people complain about the parking lot, right? We would rather have buildings that have value and parking lots that don't have value as far as square foot goes, right? But if we can continue to do things that change 7 million to 200-something million, that's a good thing, but those don't come along.
And I forgot about the industrial, too,
We only
being a
have,
mark against, in which we don't, but that's good. I think
we
we're
only
doing really
have 3 or
good.
4 manufacturing properties left in the
But,
city.
no, I'm seriously, I forgot about that.
Manufacturing
It's been
properties
a
typically
while.
are assessed at lowest, I think the lowest rates, aren't they?
Tax rates are the same.
Yeah,
The rates are the same, but as far as the
Value of
valuations
the
per
land.
square
The
foot.
state, correct, the state sets the values on manufacturing and industrial property. They are typically lower. You also need to keep in mind that anything that's a manufacturing facility, the equipment inside is tax exempt. So people who have a manufacturing facility and can say it's a $20 million facility, if 10 million of it is equipment, it's only assessed at $10 million. So,
learned something, thank
Good thing we don't
you.
have farms.
Did not
So
know
it's,
that.
the best is residential, the best is multifamily, residential.
Commercial.
That are,
Commercial,
and commercial.
big.
and
But even
as
commercial-
you all are very aware, you've got some major TIF districts
Right.
that are perking. Hopefully, the new one on Loomis Crossing will hit the ground running soon. But 84 South has been a great success for the city in terms of how much value that has generated. You also need to keep in mind that when those districts come back onto the tax roll, that'll provide some assistance for lowering your tax rate, as well as giving you some levy limit relief.
So the other thing just to point out is, when I first got elected a long time ago, which was like 18 years ago, almost, something like that, right? That's when most of the borrowing happened, right? When we did the police station, we did the library, we
Yeah.
did Shirley Crest, Anthony Drive, I think was one of them, right? That Anthony Drive was a huge project. It was a $7 million project at that time. So those were, I think, mostly 15 and 20-year bonds through that cycle. So those big, expensive projects are getting to the end of their payment lives, which is a good thing. So if you look on page 10, you'll see that the tax rates are sort of declining pretty
yeah.
well. And this, while it doesn't assume it, and it's not in this, we typically borrow 3.5 to 4 million a year. It may be less, it may be more. Typically, it'll be the same amount of money, I think. But the breadth of the projects will probably be declining. Things are getting more expensive, and the money's getting more expensive,
Yeah.
which means that the number of projects that we're gonna do, or the breadth of the projects, isn't gonna be as big. And the amount of the borrows has to fit in here, so the tax rate continues to decline. So in 10 years or 15 years, and I can't look at this, I'm just spitballing right here, 184 South and all these other places are 20 years, when they're all paid off, the tax rate should decline pretty significant, well, who knows what's gonna happen then, right? But it should decline because all of that increment will now be taxable. It'll be on the tax rolls. And some of the big things that we bought historically will be paid off, like the police department and the library and some of the other improvements that we made. So that's a good thing.
And also, if you're looking at page 10, I'd like to highlight that if you look at pretty much in the middle, the equalized value, TID out, we do not have an inflationary factor in there. We have kept it at your current equalized value throughout the scale. Obviously, the city will be growing and that number will continue.
So
to
we don't
improve.
know, lately, we don't know, but yeah, so that's a big consideration, right, is we try to keep these spreadsheets as conservative as possible.
Smart.
So when it comes to tax rates and growth and all that other stuff, right?
The assessment won't be done this year, tax time,
Yeah,
is it?
well,
So it'll be in,
it should be, well, it should be.
it should be done
Right.
for this year's,
So when the recreator goes out, there's an insert, just so everybody knows, and this doesn't really relate to the bond so much, but there'll be an insert explaining what the reassessment is and all those kind of things.
Good.
So we're trying to create something as graphically simplistic as possible. People think just because they were reassessed that somehow their taxes are gonna explode.
Yes.
The number is how much money we collect, it's the total levy.
the
right?
pie just gets divided differently.
It just gets divided differently,
Good way to
right?
put it.
So if everything went up the same amount, then the tax implication would be nothing. But if commercial goes up less and residential goes up more, or multifamily goes up more and single family those are all things that get
High end,
balanced
low end.
when the final tax rolls are assessed or reassessed.
I have some theories, but I'm gonna hope to,
I don't know. All I know is we're at about 4 billion now. We were at 3.2 billion before the 2008 correction. And it was like, yeah, we're over 3, finally made it right. And then we dropped to about 2.6 or 2.7. And now we're over 4 again. We're over 4, I think. 3.9, is that right?
3.7.
3.7?
Seven.
Plus personal property and other stuff.
That's your equalized total for everything. Your equalized
Okay.
value is,
things are still selling high above assessed,
They are.
commercial,
Kind of
residential.
worried, to some extent, that's a little, well, it depends, equalized or not equalized, but they're selling above the equalized values.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Even some of these buildings now, I just read an article today about some of these buildings and stores that are bellying up. There's other stores, there's a handful of stores nationally that are interested in buying these. So as, or leasing, whatever, their space, so that
So are we
was
looking for a
real
motion on this, or where are we at?
So I guess, starting out with regard to E1, I'd
Yeah.
entertain a motion to approve the initial resolution authorizing general obligation bonds in an amount not to exceed $4 million
I'll make a motion to approve.
by Alderperson Collins, there a second?
Second.
Second by Alderperson Kastner, would you please call?
Alderperson Collins.
Aye.
Alderperson Bailey.
Aye.
Alderperson Kastner.
Aye.
Alderperson Akers.
Aye.
Alderperson Sarian.
Aye.
Item 2 is initial resolution authorizing general obligation bonds in amount not to exceed $100,000. Entertain a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
And I'll second.
Second by Collins, would you please call?
Alderperson Collins.
Aye.
Alderperson Bailey.
Aye.
Alderperson Kastner.
Aye.
Alderperson Akers.
Aye.
Alderperson Sarian.
Aye.
Item 3, resolution authorizing the issuance and sale of not to exceed 4.1 million general obligation corporate purpose bonds, Series 2023A. Entertain a motion to approve that resolution.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution.
Collins, is there a second? Second by Alderperson Bailey, would you please call?
Alderperson Collins.
Aye.
Alderperson Bailey.
Aye.
Alderperson Kastner.
Aye.
Alderperson Akers.
Aye.
Alderperson Sarian.
Aye.
Motion carries. Just quickly too, so this allows me to sign all the stuff that I need to sign without coming back. I mean, if it comes in at an exorbitant interest rate, it's gonna be a challenge this year because the contracts have already been approved, but we need to have the money on hand to do those contracts. Historically, we've always tried to borrow as early as we can in the year, like January or February, because when we have, right, and nobody likes that, Paula hates that because that's when the audit is and all that other stuff, and that's really a challenge, but it's nice to get those dollars on hand early because then we don't have to futz around with the cash on hand for these contracts that are out there. The last time I saw a bond come in, it was at 3.5%. Does that sound about right?
I think we might have been below that last year.
But this year, I saw some sales this
Oh.
year. I've been following, it was like 3, 4, 5, 6, something like that.
It all depends on how it's structured, the term. We're seeing upper threes. I gave you a number of just north of 4. I hope I'm gonna be able to come back and tell you it's gonna be around 3.8.
So there's something here that says that I can go up to 5.5%. That would be if it's anything
Let's hope
near
not.
that, we're gonna reevaluate
Okay.
all of that.
Good.
Okay.
Correct. If we do get poor bids, we can reject them.
Yeah.
And if it does come in at
That would be
5.51%,
bad.
you can't sign it anyhow. Then we'd have to start the process over.
But if it's 5.
I don't anticipate.
It's not gonna
that.
be, it's gonna be in the
No,
3
I
somewhere.
don't anticipate we'll have that issue.
Should be, assuming the world doesn't collapse between now and April.
We can only.
Okay,
Well, thank you for your hard work, UNLers.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
and thank you for waiving your fee.
I was gonna say,
Item
We all
F-
heard that.
Item F is aldermanic reports. Are there any? Do we have a tree report?
Yes, Your Honor, thank you very much. A couple quick things. We had a tree commission meeting the other day, and we talked about our tree pruning was ahead of schedule, and we had an aggressive tree pruning throughout the city. There we had minimal damage because of that wet snowstorm. They also talked, our city forester talked about some other cities who had a lot of tree damage, and then they had to go to the common council to ask for additional funds to take care of some of the damage that occurred in their cities, but did not occur in our city because of the aggressive tree pruning that we've been doing. Also, Arbor Day is coming up.
Where is it this year? Do you remember where it is this year?
It is at Conkle Park, and we have these available for everybody. It's going to be May 6th, Saturday, May 6th, 2023 at 10 a.m. at Conkle Park. Also, what we're doing something a little different at Conkle Park, besides 12 to 13 trees being planted by the Arbor Day people and the Tree Commission and the city, we're also expending some funds to plant perennials right when you drive in, pretty much when you drive in Conkle Park. Some of those shrubs are going to be taken out.
It's pretty rough in there. Those have been there a long time and
Right.
pretty beat up, so.
And- Right, and
We're gonna make sure the ones that are in front of Alderperson Akers' house, though, remain exactly as they are.
There's none in front
Exactly.
of my house.
Huh?
you're going to have
There's none
more
in front of mine.
flowers.
Well, if there was anything, we're taking it out.
The expenditure from Annie's Acres is going to be planting perennials to the tune of $3,200.
Awesome,
So
awesome.
that's going to
the
be,
sheet, are they donating that or are we buying them?
no, we're paying them for,
Good,
but they gave us,
they're very good, good.
right, and they gave us quite a deal.
I couldn't imagine.
That's
quite a
in your-
deal.
Whose district is that? Is that yours, Carl, or is that yours or his? Is that your district?
I think it is.
Is that your district?
Annie's Acres, yes. Yeah, they're owned by a Greenfield family. They've
It's a
been,
very local,
Right.
beautiful
Yeah,
family.
forever.
yeah.
Which is awesome.
Looks like they're gonna be putting up another greenhouse. I just saw that big.
Really?
black s- They put up another one over the winter. And now I see another spot that may be,
It was
For them.
talked about.
Good
yeah, it was
for
gonna be up
them.
to 5 greenhouses.
Yeah, I think so.
So,
Good for them.
They did a wonderful job. Your other municipalities and other entities not pruning or not maintaining their trees, I would say in this last storm, the Milwaukee County River Basin got hit really hard. And
Yeah.
it looks like a war zone almost. I cannot state that we need to do something about that more. I still think it's a potential for a fire, with all that
Yeah.
dead
So-
debris.
Wasn't there a little river going on around there during the storm?
A what?
Or something?
A what?
A little river, I mean, water?
yeah.
Yeah,
No, the
it
river
was pretty- yeah.
overflowed,
Oh,
so-
that always does.
Yeah, it was
It's
pretty
getting worse
bad.
and worse.
So one of the issues is that
to happen in my
our
neighborhood.
crews did part of it by Brookside Meadow Park, right? And I guess the county's a little upset with us, but we We tried to comply with everything. We have 3 arborists on our DPW staff. I think it's 3, maybe 2, 3, 2, 3. And, you know, we went through, we saved the walnut trees, we saved all the good species.
Black walnut?
We cleared out a lot of the buckthorn and some of the other stuff, mulberry that was grown in there. We took out a ton of hazardous trees so that people could see where the lagoon had been. But we never went further east towards Forest Home from Brookside Meadows. And 2 trees have fallen on county property. So when we talk about this kind of stuff, I mean, most of the stuff that's in there is dead,
Yeah.
and it's gonna just fall over. We're trying to be proactive in our community, like Alderperson Bailey was talking about, right? And Alderperson Kastner is exactly right. The county needs to take care of this stuff, and they're kind of not. They're just kind of letting it go wild, and they're claiming that it's for something, but they're just letting it go wild because they can't do it the way they should be doing it. Is, I think, pretty much the truth,
Or they
right?
don't want to do it.
Yeah, the other thing that sort of gets me a little, and this talks about sort of the money, it's a segue into the money part. So today in Urban Milwaukee, the newsletter, that online newsletter that I think many of us subscribe to, there was an article where Milwaukee County is going to use $150 million of ARPA money to
Yeah.
go towards the cancellation of medical debt for constituents within Milwaukee County. And I'm not quite sure how that works, and I'm not quite sure how you get to be one of those people that has this medical debt. But when I look at Milwaukee County Parks and the county board's desire to improve the necklace, the jewel necklace or emerald necklace, whatever they're calling it now, and we hear that $200 or $300 million, up to $500 million in backlogs to fix things is out there, and they're spending on a one-time shot $150 million to cancel some folks' medical debt. That doesn't seem to be right. In fact, the $150 million is about half of their liability in the parks, as on the most recent conservative estimate. It could be up to 500 million.
Yeah.
But so while they will go and they'll ask for an increased tax within Milwaukee County to pay for some of their obligations that are out there, and they'll probably use the parks as an example of where some of this money will go. Right now, as we sit here, there is money that could be used to enhance the parks that isn't. It's being used on one thing that this common council and I and our staff have refused to do. Every single ARPA dollar that we've received is going toward investment in something that has a long-term value, right? Whether it's a police car or whatever it is, right? It's not a one and you're done kind of thing. It's not like hiring somebody this year so that we can let them go next year, or it's not just buying birthday cake for the staff, right? Once, right? We're buying the party tent so we can use it for 10 years, as opposed to buying a big cake and a big party up front. And I know that's a really crappy analogy, but what I see the county doing is, it's unbelievable to me. $150 million is 5 times our entire budget. So when you say that, I get a little excited.
No?
That's kind of why I said it.
I didn't start yelling and swearing though, so that's good.
Yeah. Well,
you
we've been
think?
at meetings, right? And we see how it works.
I'm doing extremely well considering that I
Just-
don't smoke anymore. I mean, smoking used to keep me calm, you know, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Just gotta stop gaining weight. That's what you do. Pretty soon I'll be 400 pounds. All right.
I just wanted to
Is there
say,
anything else from
yes,
anybody?
just
Alderman
one thing
Nicholson?
I wanted to say is that the Park and Rec, as I mentioned last time, and you were there, many of us were there at the Park and Rec banquet, where we gave kudos to volunteers, to businesses, and to the
To staff,
employees.
to
Right.
all those.
Employees that were very beneficial and helpful to the Park and Rec and to the city. It was overwhelmingly attended, and it was fantastic, and it was great to be able to be there and thank them all for everything that they do. It was great. They did a great job.
Okay, one other thing I need to say, because, going back to, I guess, to Mayor's report, I apologize for this. in front of the library by the fountain, you'll notice that there's some significant things going on.
Oh, yeah.
So this all started back when we had the moving wall, remember way back when? And when we had the moving wall, it was the kickoff to create a veterans memorial within the community. Do you remember that? And then COVID came, and then COVID just like put a stop to everything for a couple of years. We all know what happened, right? So Jansen Fest has generously come forward with a lot of money, to install a veterans memorial at that site. It's going to, so we saved a ton of money internally. Mike Dermody, I think, needs a huge shout out, he's one of our working foremen in the Public Works Department. He designed the plan for the Veterans Memorial, saving us probably $50,000 to $100,000 in design costs. DPW is installing the new Veterans Memorial. Dan Jansen Fest is paying for all of the materials and everything that's going into the project.
That'll be about a six.
So while there are communities that are very near us spend hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars and spend years and years and years contemplating things and suing each other and being unhappy, ours should be done by the end of summer, and it'll look spectacular.
Are we selling bricks again?
We are so all of the
do.
bricks that have been they have been moved, and they're going to continue to be on
bricks
site,
there.
but they're going to be in the north part of the site. And they took pictures of them, and they're supposed to go in the exact same order. They're just in a different spot. They've all been saved. There was great care to make sure that they weren't damaged. We made sure of that.
Good.
Do we have any designs or like anything on the,
Do we know what it looks like? So Mary is working with Mike so Mike's drawing is more of a, it's with the little squares, what do you call it, graph paper, and it's drawn out like that. Mary upstairs is working on creating a graphical,
She is amazing.
she is amazing, but yes. So it's gonna be really cool. And there is a graphical representation coming that I think Mike is working on with, or had been working on with John L. And they've been working with Mary upstairs.
so we'll get that on the website eventually?
We're gonna get that on the website as soon as we can. So Mary's been doing a number of things for us. She's been doing the assessing thing too. We had, and I know this is straying a little bit, and I apologize, everybody wants to go watch. But she's also, originally there was gonna be a product that kind of went through the legal things and why we assess, and it's gonna look like real legalese, and I read it and I didn't even understand it, that kind of thing. And I was thinking most people, when they get this, and they find out that their house has been reassessed and they try to read this as an explanation, that it's not gonna be helpful. So we're working on creating an explanation, like a fact sheet,
Good.
to make it as simple as possible. So she's been working on a lot of those kinds of things for us, but the memorial for the veterans is the other thing, so, okay.
Okay.
And Jeff has promised me that we're gonna have a lot of shrubs and evergreens in Conkle Park, right, Jeff? So things grow quickly. So we have all those trees there for the Arbor Day, but we're also gonna have other stuff. All right. Any more aldermanic announcements? Announcements? Citizen commentary? I don't have any appointments to those committees. If anybody finds people, that'd be great. J, new business claim received from Marcus Crawford. This is for some tires. This is going to our city attorney.
Yes, it is.
I thought he was gonna be
And
here.
we'll come forward, I think, with how we're gonna handle that one, probably at the next meeting, hopefully. Item J2 is applications for various operator licenses for 2022 and 2023. Entertain a motion to approve those as presented
Motion to approve as presented.
by Alderperson Kastner. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alderperson Sarian. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. If y'all don't mind, I'd like to take, item 3 is a change of agent at Portillo's, right? Entertain a motion to approve that
So moved.
by Alderperson Akers.
And I'll second.
By Alderperson Collins. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. If we can, I'd like to take items 4, 5, 6, 7 together. Those are all
Yeah.
like finance and health-related stuff. Those are memorandums of understanding
Yeah.
and resolutions and all those things.
I'll make a motion to approve.
By Collins, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alderperson Kastner. Would you please call?
Alderperson Collins.
Aye.
Alderperson Bailey.
Aye.
Alderperson Kastner.
Aye.
Alderperson Akers.
Aye.
Alderperson Sarian.
Aye.
Item 8, 9, and 10 were planning commission items. One was to just deny an ATM on 27th and College. I mean, I think that's really the only one that's kind of, so there are no banks or credit unions in the city that have a standalone ATM. They're all part of an existing building that they
Right.
pay a lot of taxes. This is essentially putting a Wells Fargo ATM in the middle of a parking lot and not in a very good place, so we denied that.
Motion to approve all items as presented with the denial of the first.
Okay, by Alderperson Kastner, who is the
Second.
representative of the planning commission, second by Alderperson Sarian. Would you call, just in case?
Alderperson Collins.
Aye.
Alderperson Bailey.
Aye.
Alderperson Kastner.
Aye.
Alderperson Akers.
Aye.
Alderperson Sarian.
Aye.
Items 11, 12, and 13 are contracts and an agreement and memorandum of understanding with the city of Milwaukee for street improvement project on Howard Avenue. I'd entertain a motion to approve
I'll
those
make a
contracts
motion.
with the amounts as indicated
Second.
by Alderperson Collins, second by Alderperson Akers. Would you please call?
Alderperson Collins.
Aye.
Alderperson Bailey.
Aye.
Alderperson Kastner.
Aye.
Alderperson Akers.
Aye.
Alderperson Sarian.
Aye.
Item 14 is an outdoor event on April 1st
Oh.
for the celebration of life for Alan Quickly to be located at Quickly Park. And entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve.
And waiving the license and
Yes.
permit fees.
I don't think we did.
What, waive them?
No.
I don't, we should, right? Do you think?
Yeah.
Well, they already paid it.
Who was it? Who's doing it? Is it, it's not the Lions?
I don't know. It's not
It's
the
not
Lions.
They do it every year, apparently.
Who is it?
It's the memorial. It's 30 years.
Okay.
It's hard to believe.
Right, right.
I mean, this
So I
is
know
one of
I was
those things that I would
invited.
ask that, that maybe that, it's not that much.
It's 50.
Yeah.
They already paid it. I was thinking the same thing.
It's not, we should return.
I second then that.
Would you, I mean, if it has been paid, then the permits and licenses and fees should be waived.
I mean, it's the namesake of it. It's-
I mean,
I was just gonna say that.
Of all the work that we've gone through to make that place a success,
Yeah.
Yeah.
people that
I
fill
understand
the
there's
park
gonna-
and celebrate the person that underlines it all is.
There's going to
it
be
should
two
not
race
be.
cars out there, too.
That's what I was told, one of the original ones from, maybe down south, maybe not, maybe I
wow.
heard that. I thought I heard that,
Well, race car is a race car.
there was a Thunderbird somewhere, I thought. He used to
My
drive a
friend's
Thunderbird.
cousin used to work on the team.
Special K.
Okay, so the motion is to approve the application as presented, but waiving the licenses and permits, and if they have been paid, to be refunded, okay?
Yep.
By Kastner, is there a second? Or was it by Collins Kastner?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it okay if I just call you by your last names? I can go
Yeah,
Alderperson every
that's
time if
fine.
you want. Just The rules are explicit that I'm supposed to use Alderperson.
We'll take it under advisement that that's what
Is
you
it
meant.
okay? I just want to make sure that it's not a sign of
Yeah, you
disrespect
do
or
much
a
worse out in
violation of
public,
the.
though.
Yeah.
Motion by Collins, second by Kastner. All in favor?
Aye.
Actually, let's vote on that because it's, money is
Money.
involved.
Alderperson Collins.
Aye.
Alderperson Bailey.
Aye.
Alderperson Kastner.
Aye.
Alderperson Akers.
Aye.
Alderperson Sarian.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Item 15, the minutes should reflect all that stuff too. Make sure she's got that in there. Item 15, approval of the outdoor special event for Dan Jansen Fest on May 25th through 29th. And all applicable licenses, permits, and waive application fees and waive the municipal code operating time limit of 10 PM to allow the finishing time for both beer service and band performance to be 11 PM, which is consistent with the last years. Applications include the following combination of licenses and permits: outdoor special event, temporary operator licenses, temporary Class B retailer's license, food, and commercial electrical plumbing, requesting council approval to allow unaccompanied underage individuals on the licensed bar premises pursuant to the statute as indicated. Entertain a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
By Alderperson Akers. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alderperson Bailey. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Because it involves the waiving of fees, could you, sorry. could you-
Alderperson Collins.
Aye.
Alderperson Bailey.
Aye.
Alderperson
Aye.
Kastner. Alderperson Akers.
Aye.
Alderperson Sarian.
Item 16 is approve the outdoor special event application of the Salvation Army rummage sale to be held on June 3rd, waiving all applicable licenses and permits.
Do you want to do a 17 with it too?
What?
17 too?
Yeah.
Yeah, why don't we do those two together, 16 and 17? The 17th is for the outdoor worship service events on June 18th. We did that last year. There was no issues, remember? There was some concern last year about it.
Yeah, we
It
just
turned
wanted
out
to
to be
make sure.
really,
Yeah.
turned out to be really good. So it's to approve 16 and 17.
It's a good thing it's a Sunday and not a Thursday, because, it might snow in June.
Yeah, no kidding, right? Okay, so who made the motion to approve this again?
I don't have
No
one.
one.
No one. I'll make a motion to
By
approve.
Kastner,
item
is
I
there a
will
second?
second.
By Collins, would you call?
Alderperson Collins.
Aye.
Alderperson Bailey.
Aye.
Alderperson Kastner.
Aye.
Alderperson Akers.
Aye.
Alderperson Sarian.
That's all that. Items for future agenda, I don't have any at this point. I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
By Alderperson Akers, second by Alderperson Bailey. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Are we gonna make